He wants to talk about this one. This one's very fun. Always has brought some great moments here in the last few years. And this matchup is pretty close. They have a West Virginia as a 2.5-point favorite. I think I saw 2 today floating around there as well. This one's in Pitt at no longer called Heinz Field. And this one should be fun. JP, I know you're a big fan of this game, and you have a little bit of homerism towards Pitt, so you break this one down for us.
Yeah, Eli Holstein hasn't been as bad as we maybe thought he would be. I mean, the question mark's not as big here. But you know who's been incredible for this Pitt team? Desmond Reed, over 140 yards in both football games for Pitt. In a battle with Cincinnati last week, they end up winning that one. I mean, if we're going to run for over 140, you know who's getting the football against a West Virginia defense that got eaten up. I understand it's a Penn State team with 2 better backs, but if we're going to run for 142 games in a row, he's going to have something to him. At Pitt, if you remember the last time they played at Pitt, it was disgusting. Like it was a West Virginia chance to go tie a football game, and a weird interception happens, and Pitt kind of runs away with it late. But it was the shock to me that Pitt's got the ability to move the football through the air a little bit. Now, he's not going to be a game breaker or anything, and he's going to be prone to some turnovers as we saw last year. Like Holstein's good, but I think it's going to be Narduzzi being like, hey, let's run the football. Let's dare them to stop that, and then we'll try something else. West Virginia, let's see if we can bow up against another offense that may create some issues, because there was open guys all over the field against Penn State, just schemed wide open. And then the run game got questionable. It just kind of got to a strange point. Pitt like kind of lost their way on the defensive side of the ball. Cincinnati had a good game against them a week ago. Garrett Greene, we got to hit some guys downfield. We got to hit open men. We can't just rely on the three-headed monster in the backfield. We have to be able to be good off play action. We have to hit open guys. And I know their receiving core is not this crazy special thing, but this is a game to get yourself going. It's going to be tough. You're going to have to hit open guys, or they're just going to pack the box on you. And Narduzzi's been good at that, and has done it for a really long time. Jacob, talk to me about this though. If you're Neil Brown and you're taking Garrett Greene into this situation, I mean, how much changes? Like, what are you telling this kid?
Well, he didn't play in this one last year, so I think that's actually advantage West Virginia, because it was a low-scoring affair, but they kind of dominated the football game without him. I think that they run the football, and I think they'll do it effectively. I mean, Cincinnati was up 27-6 on Pitt last week, and there's no reason they should have lost that football game. But like you said, Des Reed's been incredible. And I think Eli Holstein's a major upgrade than Jurkovec was at this time last year. I mean, he was so bad, but there was no reason this team should be winning. And I think that's to West Virginia's advantage that Pitt shouldn't have won last week. I think maybe they're feeling a little high on themselves. Granted, I think that West Virginia also is going to travel really well. I think the Pitt fans are very wishy-washy. This is a 45-minute drive for a pro stadium. I think West Virginia is going to pack it out. They also won this game without Jaheim White last year. Like, he didn't come into his own until later in the year. So those are 2 of your best rushers, 2 of your best offensive players. Besides C.J. Donaldson, you also get him back. I mean, the Pitt defense doesn't scare me by any means. I think that West Virginia has what it takes to travel on the road, just with the run game to suit well here in Pitt.
I think it's a very simple way to look at this game, but I think you're asking a ton from Pitt and not a lot from West Virginia. That's simply what you're doing, because Pitt needs to do above and beyond. They need to force turnovers from Garrett Greene, who hasn't thrown a pick all year long, against a really good defense, and Penn State included. You're asking a lot from Pitt in this situation at home. This is kind of where I think, I'm glad you mentioned it, Jake, that he didn't play in that game last year, because you're getting a new look at an experienced quarterback. That doesn't happen very often, especially when you play like these two programs do. So give me West Virginia. I think that this line is only where it is because it's a rivalry game and the history of it. But I do like West Virginia in this spot. And as a Garrett Greene hater, I think that this is maybe a truce card I'm going to throw out there, because I think he has a very consistent, serviceable performance that does enough for West Virginia to cover this number on the road. Reese.
Yeah, you look at, when West Virginia played Penn, they have a solid backfield with Allen. And then you look at they threw the ball extremely well too. And you look at Pitt with Holstein. You talk about Reed, who's ran the ball for over 140 yards both games. So there's that issue as well too there. But I think you hit the nail on the head, like you just said. It's a lot for Pitt, and it's not as much for West Virginia. If West Virginia goes and kind of lulls themselves in this game, which I don't think it's going to happen, because if you're a West Virginia or a Pitt fan, like, this is a big game for you guys. When I previewed Pitt at the beginning of the year, this was the game that I talked about where it's I think this game, however it goes, is going to be the identity of the team this year. And I just think West Virginia is going to be a little bit better in this spot. I just think, like I said, West Virginia's got to do a lot less, I think, to lose this game. Pitt's got to do a whole lot more to win this game. So I like West Virginia in this spot.
Okay, JP, kick us off roundtable style. Give us final score predictions here.
Yeah, I'd like at 2.5. I'm just going to take the team I think is better here. I think West Virginia is the better team. If this is around 5.5, 6, I'd probably look at Pitt as a home dog here, but I'll take West Virginia just because it's the 2.5.
Okay, I think that we're going to have a unanimous one here. Give me West Virginia. I think they cover this number by a decent amount. Give me them to a 10 to 14 point winner over here in Pitt. I think the score, let's go 34-20. West Virginia. I think they'll give up some just because of the rivalry aspect, but West Virginia ultimately takes it on the road. Jake.
Yep, West Virginia, 2017.
Okay, so just covering the numbers.
Lower
Shout out
one.
Vegas and Reese.
Country Roads take me home. Let's go West Virginia 38-27.
All right,
Whoa,
so that's a
that'd be
handily
fun.
win. That would be a lot of points. And
You want me to be
on
different?
par.
Everybody else is going low. I'm going up.
I like that. On par with the Backyard Brawl too and how those games go. So I like that. But that is the Backyard Brawl.